Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today, heat number 2 of the fountain pen tournament. The two pens, PenBBS 487. This one, it's got that magnetic filling system. I'll give you my thoughts on that as we go through the video. That's going up a HongDian N8 cartridge converter pen. Very nice patterning on here though. Join me now down on the table, take a look at the pens, do some size comparisons, some weights and measures, a writing sample, then I'll give you my thoughts on these pens before handing it over to you to vote for the winner. Here we are down on the table. Heat number 2, our pens, the HongDian N8 and the PenBBS 487. Both quite different pens. We'll start looking through the bodies. So this is just a quick tour through the body. On the N8, up here we've got, it looks like there's a little chick, a little bird on the top. It's a slight dome to it. Silver clip. Very, very stiff. We've got a very sharp taper out to about maybe a quarter of the way down the clip. Then it seems to be the same width all the way down to the bottom of the cap. Got a silver band there and a drop off down to the body. On the band, LT, HongDian. Then on the back, N8, which is the model number. The cap, very pretty. Got these like silver feathers. They feel like it's slightly inlaid. And then we've got some words up here. And I think that's flying letters. Could be flying feathers. It's actually quite difficult for me to read that. The body. It's translucent, so you can see through. Hopefully it comes over on the camera. You can see through there and you see the converter inside. Turn this around. It's quite pretty as the body. I'd be quite happy if the whole pen was like this, I've got to be honest. I think it's really nice. I actually like that more than this material at the top on the cap. We come on down, got a couple of rings there. Then a blank cap, does nothing, it's fairly solid. And at the bottom, there's a silver disc. Pop that down, we'll do the caps in a minute. The PenBBS 487. I've had this pen a while and I struggle with it. It's nice. The pattern is called corduroy. So it's mainly transparent, but then we've got these blues and we've got whites and some greys going on in there. In here now, I've got a red ink. When I recorded the intro, I do record those slightly earlier. I had a grey ink in it. I'll explain more about that as we go on. The top of the pen, still got that corduroy pattern, but you can see that disc there. That disc is actually a magnet because this is a magnetic filling pen. What you're meant to be able to do is up here, we've got another disc. The magnet attaches to it. Then you're meant to be able to drag it down and pull it back up. Brilliant idea, really novel, doesn't work, absolutely useless. I did manage to get it to move once, but after that, it will not budge no matter what I do. So I just leave that there, it seals off the top of the pen. It's a shame. What that means though, to fill it, I have to unscrew the section and then syringe fill it, which is fine, but I bought it to use this magnetic filler. Anyway, that's by the by. We come from there, we come down into the rest of the cap. The rest of the cap seems to be the same width all the way down. This clip, nice. Is it like a sword shape? Very springy. Bottom of the cap, it tapers down to the body, so it's not a drop off, which is what we saw on the N8. Then the body, it's the same width all the way down. We've got that magnet. Then this is another issue I've had with this. There was a disc in here. Lost it. Good job we've got that magnet thing there blocking the ink. Otherwise it would be completely unusable. I have put some glue in there. I need to put some more in. So in terms of that, that's something to be aware of with this pen. There are some build quality issues. Let's take the caps off. So it goes half, 1, 1.5 turns. Not too bad, is it? Half, 1, 1.5 turns. Both very similar. Let's pop these next to each other. So starting with a HongDian nib. Looks really complex, doesn't it? We've got like a scroll work pattern. Below that, we've got since 1997. HongDian M, it's a medium nib. And I've never been able to work out what the 35 stands for. The PenBBS, a little bit simpler. So we've got scroll work all the way around the outside. Inside that, we've got PenBBS since 2005. And then F, this is a fine nib. This is not the nib that came with this pen. Again, I'll talk more about that when we get to the writing samples. Let's swap over and we'll do some size comparisons. So the pens I brought in. Got a TWSBI Eco. That was 44 Aussie dollars. The HongDian N8. That was 41 Aussie dollars. The PenBBS 487. That was 54 Aussie dollars. And the pen I brought in here, this is a Sailor 1911 Compass or Sailor 1911 Junior, depending where you are. That was 55 Aussie dollars. Piston filler, cartridge converter. I don't think I showed you that. This is a cartridge converter. There's the cartridge. Again, one of the problems with this magnet, it attaches to everything metallic. Look at that. It's a bit of a nuisance, I can tell you. Still very nice there. I'm going to take the caps off these and we'll take a look at them unposted. Here we are unposted. You can see the sizes are all over the place. Will these pens post? Well, we know that the TWSBI Eco does. Very badly, but if you push it, it will just sit on the back. I'll take that off because it's so bad. The HongDian N8 posts very nicely. There we go. There's the pen posted. I do find this pen is best unposted though. With the PenBBS, that does post. Feels very long, feels very back heavy. Unposted though, again, it's nice like the N8. And then the Sailor, it's very small. Needs to be posted. So I'm slightly out of order for this one. I'm now going to fetch in my two standard size comparisons. Here are the standards. I've got the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari. So unposted, the Safari and the PenBBS slightly longer than the other two. Let's just pop the caps on. So with the caps on, again, very similar story. The PenBBS, the longest, ever so slightly longer than the Safari, and definitely longer than the N8 and the Metropolitan. I do apologise for getting this a little bit all mixed up. I had a workman coming round. It was meant to come around in an hour and a half's time, so I had plenty of time to finish recording. He decided to turn up early, and that threw me all out with my recording. So let's move on and fetch in the rule of measuring. Here we've got the rule of measuring. Here comes the N8. So the N8, 13.7 centimetres. Not too bad when it's got that cap on. Unposted, 12.3 centimetres. And posted, that comes in at 16.3 centimetres. The width of the body at its widest part, which is about here, that's 1.35 centimetres. The cap, 1.49 centimetres. And then the section, that goes from 1.11 up to 1.18. So it's a nice, comfortably wide section and no lip at the bottom either. Really nice. The PenBBS 487. The whole pen, 14.1 centimetres. Unposted, 12.8 centimetres. And then posted, 17 centimetres. The width of the body at its widest is 1.32. The cap is 1.44, so both ever so slightly narrower than the N8. The section, It's narrowest point 0.97 up to 1.16. It does feel a lot narrower in the hand, but this, I believe it's concave section, where it comes in and out, means my fingers and my thumb, they sit nicely in there, so it is actually quite usable. Let's fetch in the scales of weigh-in. Here we've got the scales of weigh-in. We'll start with the N8. Full pen, 30 grams. Hefty pen. Remember, we have got ink in there. The body alone is 18 grams. And the cap, 13 grams. The PenBBS 487 full pen, 25 grams, a little bit lighter. It's noticeably lighter, to be honest. 14 grams for the body. Remember, I would say there might be a gram worth of ink in there. And 12 grams for the cap. Let's move this out of the way and fetch in the notepad of testing. Here we've got the notepad of testing, Oxford Optic paper, A5 book. Really like this paper. So we'll start with the HongDian N8. I say I use this unposted. So we've got HongDian N8 of this gorgeous medium nib. Price wise, 41 Aussie dollars. The ink, it's by Dominant Industry. And it's called Forest. I do love my green inks. Drying times, so we go immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Finally, 1 minute. That's nice and dry after a minute. I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen write. It's a nice smooth nib. It's enjoyable to write with. Teeniest amount of feedback, not a lot, but it's definitely there. You can notice it. It's quite enjoyable. It's pleasant to write with. Line variation. Remember, this is a steel nib, so there's no pressure. Slightly wider, but I wonder sometimes, is it wider or is it just there's more ink going down? So no pressure, with pressure, none, with, none, and with. Flow test. Yeah, that gets all the way over the page, really nice. So that's the HongDian N8. Let's move the page up a little bit and we'll take a look at the PenBBS 487. So again, nice fit in the hand when it's unposted. So we've got a PenBBS 487. This has got a fine nib, and this cost me 54 Aussie dollars. The ink in here is Pilot, Iroshizuku, and it's Momiji. As I said earlier, when I filmed the intro for this, it had a grey ink. It's now got this Momiji, which is like a pinky red. The reason I've changed the ink is when I was doing my test pages, when I was doing my test writing to actually get ready to film this, the ink flow was really bad, as in it would write maybe a sentence, then stop writing. I'd have to then shake it for a while and walk away and leave it. It would start up again. I cleaned out the ink, and when I did that, a blob is the best way to describe it, about maybe 5mm across, came out of grey stuff. So I think it may have been an issue with the ink. That's what I put it down to. So I filled it with Momiji, and I find this is a really nice ink. It usually doesn't cause me problems. Still was having major flow issues with it. So what I did, I pulled out the nib and feed, put it through my sonic cleaner to make sure everything was really nice and clean. Still got flow issues. I then swapped, and I've now got in here the nib and feed from another PenBBS I've got. Has helped, so I think the issue may have been with the feed, but I still do get issues. What I've been finding is once I've written about a page, then it will stop writing and I have to leave it for a couple of minutes. It seems like the ink has got back through the feed and it starts writing again. So that's just something to be aware of, and that's why there's been this little swapping around. Drying times. So we got immediate, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, finally 1 minute. After a minute, yeah, nice and dry. We'll move the mic and write a sentence. I hope you could hear that over the dog. She's snoring away there in the corner. She loves being in the office with me when I'm recording. She thinks it's her right to supervise me. And then she gets on the sofa and just goes zonk and starts snoring. Anyway, line variation. This is no pressure. Here's some pressure. Very stiff feeling nib. None, with, none, with, none, and with. Then flow test. That's another 1 minute all the way over the page, no problem. So what are my thoughts on these two pens? I like them both. With the PenBBS 487 though, I'm very disappointed because I've had a lot of issues. But we'll come into them in a second. Let's look at looks. I've got to be honest, in terms of looks, I do prefer the 487. Yes, I know this is the corduroy, but I like seeing that ink. Just look at that, how it sloshes away. And although, yes, we've got blues, browns, greys, whites there in that corduroy pattern, I think virtually any ink can work with that. I've had blues in here, I had the grey. This red I'm actually quite enjoying. Whereas here, you can't see the ink sloshing around. It's fairly plain. Yes, you got some fancy decoration here on the cap. Personally, doesn't do too much for me. I do like this. If that had been even more translucent and maybe going through the whole pen, I think that would have looked a lot nicer. Build quality, can't complain here about the N8. It seems quite nice. Had it about 6 months now, had no issues with it. Everything is nice. The threads all move nicely. It came with the converter. We've even got an O-ring down there which helps to cushion it as it gets towards the bottom. The 487, nothing but problems. It's meant to be a magnetic filling system, just doesn't work. Losing the cap, not very good. Flow issues, not good at all. Which is a shame because, as I say, looks-wise, got transparent there. Even here where you can see what's going on in the feed, it looks really nice. Just not got the build quality. Now, that could just be I was unlucky and I've got a model which doesn't work very well. So if you've got a 487, you might have had a different experience. And again here, the magnet is attracting itself to this. The magnet is a bit of a pain in the back as well. Writing experience, yeah, I'm going to say it's quite nice. Although this 487 says it's a fine nib, I do think it's more towards the medium. But I do find that with a lot of my PenBBS nibs, they do seem to write slightly wider than the fine that they say they are. The N8, nice line. Ink flow, no issues with the N8. Had a number of different inks in there, all worked fine. I've been through the saga already with the 487, not going to go through it again. So ink flow was a little bit of an issue with that. Comfort, I will be honest, I do prefer the N8. If it had the length, the 487 would be better, but I like the section, I like the width of the section. It really fits my hand nicely. And with the 487, yes, we've got the concaveness. Would have been nice to be just ever so slightly wider. Value for money, I can only judge the 487 on the experiences I've had. For me, the 487 was very poor value for money because of all the issues I've had. When it writes, it's beautiful. It looks nice. It's just not consistent, and I had all those build issues. The N8 could do with being a little bit longer, but I'm being picky there. Still nice to use, does what I want, lets me get ideas out of my head and onto paper in a way I enjoy. Let me fetch that down a bit. The N8, I think it's actually quite good value for money. So what are your thoughts on these pens? This is your chance. Head on over to my YouTube community page. There you'll find a poll. Vote which one do you think should move forward into the semi-final. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What do you think of the pens? Do you like them? What do you think about the comparison? Well, it's over to you. Pop on over to my YouTube channel, go to the community tab, and in there you'll find a poll to pick between these two pens, to pick the winner. In a week's time, that's a week from publication, I'll take a look at the poll. The winning pen, that will be announced the winner, and I'll pop a YouTube short onto my channel to announce that winning pen. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.